We're going to be speaking out of the book of Matthew, the 25th chapter. We're going to be coming from the 15th through the 28th, amen. But our key verse will be found in the 21st verse. You may have a different reading from our Bible. Someone that has the King James Version, if you would read it loudly, that's where we would get our thought from. This 21st verse, amen. Let everybody get it, amen. The 21st verse, amen.
And it says, His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord.
All right. In my Bible it says, his master replied, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with not a lot of things, but a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Amen. The high cost of neglect. Amen. You may be seated. The high cost of neglect, amen, will be our subject for today. The high cost. There's a high cost in neglect. How many of you know that? Amen. A high cost. The high cost could be that easy come, easy go. Amen. Have you ever been, someone gave you something and you didn't pay for it, you didn't buy it, and you didn't struggle for it, but so it was easy come, easy go. Amen. And you're going to find out in life that if you keep on living, that there's a high cost for neglect. Neglect. I give you something, you just throw it around. You don't care about it. I go buy you a pair of $200 shoes, you walk on the back of them. Walk them down, amen. Money, mama and daddy have struggled to go buy these. In my time, I was struggling with going to try to buy some Jordans. And the children just throw them out there in the rain, in the mud, walk in the rain and mud, don't care, because daddy bought it. Amen. But there's a high cost in neglect. Amen. Have you ever wanted something real bad? Thought you was worthy of it, and you just felt like that. I ought to have that. It ought to be my spot. It ought to be my position. It ought to be for me. But there's a cost for being in certain spots, being in certain positions. We have to look at this story here. We're going to see there's a story here about some talents. Amen. Neglect has a high cost because it destroys our sense of adventure. Amen. Neglect has a high cost because it makes us satisfied with the status quo. What do you mean by that? We have a that'll do attitude. Amen. When this church first come together, we was over in Camilla, out in the woods, out in the country, in a 100-year-old building. And some of us could have had the attitude that, hey, you know what? We're not going to do anything else to this building because it's old. And for right now, that'll do. We won't do nothing to it. We won't fix it up. We won't heat it. We won't air it. We'll just be here and be satisfied until, what we like to say, until God bless us. Amen. God is not looking for people that's just going to sit around and talk about, we're going to sit there and wait till he bless us. He's looking for somebody that's going to do something with whatever he gives them. Amen. He expects you to be faithful, be wise, not have an attitude, not because you don't like somebody or you don't like this person or that person. He's not expecting you to neglect the situation because of hatred. Amen. But here in the 25th chapter, starting at the 15th verse, we see the master divided the money. In other words, he divided the talent among his servants according to their abilities. Amen. No one received more or less than he could handle. And this is what God does. I believe that this is what God does. He looks down here and he says that he's going to divide his gifts among his servants according to their abilities. Amen. He will give no one no more than what they can handle. Amen. I'm the pastor. He gave me that gift. But guess what? Some of you believe that you ought to be the pastor. But he will not give you the pastorship if he's given to me, because he will not put on you no more than you can handle. Amen. Some of you are supposed to mow the lawn, but you want to come inside the church and clean the church rather than work outside and mow the grass, because God knows that you are a good grass mower, but you are not a good person that cleans up on the inside. If he sends you on the inside, you won't wash the windows. You won't take the spots out of the floor. But if he puts you on the outside and you have an outside mentality, you may take the dust and just make it fly everywhere. Amen. But God, I see God as the one that divides not the money but the gifts according to our abilities. No one received more or less than he could handle. If he failed in his assignment, his excuse could not be he failed his assignment because he had too much. Amen. The high cost of neglect. God is ready to give, no, not ready, but he has given each and every one of you positions. He has given you things in your life, and you just neglected them. You neglected them because you came up with excuses that it was too much for me to handle. It was more than I could bear. Amen. Failure could come only from, your failure could only come from when God gives you something. Guess what your failure could come from? It can only come from laziness or hatred toward the master. The talents, the gifts represent any kind of resource we are given. God gives us time, gifts, and other resources according to our abilities, and he expects us to invest in them wisely until he returns. Why promote you all to positions? Why give you special positions in the church and you neglect them? You don't use them wisely. You don't take care of God's business. You don't handle God's business. In other words, the pastor go away to California and in 3 weeks he'll be back. He expects you to handle the church's affairs. He expects you to handle what's going on in the church, handle what's going on around in the community, to do what you're supposed to do. But what happens? We neglect that. We don't do what God requires of us to do. The issue, though, is not how much we have.